My name is Lauren Harper, 37 years old, married to Ethan, 40, for 12 years. We have 2 children, Noah, 6, a bright, curious boy obsessed with gadgets, and Sophie, 2, our little tornado of giggles and curls. Life in our quiet Colorado suburb was predictable school runs, soccer games, and cozy movie nights until my younger sister, Vanessa, turned our family's annual 4th of July barbecue into a personal vendetta. Vanessa, 34, has always been a force of nature. Growing up, she was the golden child, charismatic, quick-witted, and always the center of attention. But her charm came with a sting. Her humor was sharp, often cutting, and she thrived on chaos. As kids, she'd steal my thunder at every turn, interrupting my piano recitals with her impromptu dance routines, or accidentally spilling juice on my science fair poster. As adults, her need for the spotlight only intensified, and she never missed a chance to stir the pot. The 4th of July barbecue was a Harper family tradition, held at our parents' sprawling ranch-style home in Fort Collins. Mom and I had been planning it for weeks. We strung fairy lights across the backyard, set up a red, white, and blue dessert table with star-shaped cookies, and curated a playlist, blending Springsteen classics with modern pop hits. Dad, usually stoic, was in rare form, firing up the grill and joking with neighbors. Noah was the star of the pre-party setup, buzzing around with his new drone, showing cousins how he'd programmed it to do flips and loops. "It's like a robot bird," he exclaimed, his eyes wide with pride. Even Mom, who usually fretted over details, laughed as Noah nearly crashed the drone into the potato salad. The guest list was a mix of family, close friends, and a few colleagues from Dad's old law firm, about 50 people in all. The air smelled of charcoal and sunscreen, and kids ran through sprinklers as adults sipped lemonade and craft beer. It was shaping up to be the perfect day, a rare moment of harmony in our often fractious family. Then Vanessa arrived, 2 hours late. Naturally, she didn't just walk in, she made an entrance. Her red sequined dress sparkled under the afternoon sun, more suited to a Vegas nightclub than a backyard barbecue. She clutched her phone, live streaming to her thousands of Instagram followers, her voice loud and performative. "Oh my gosh, family time. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was a total nightmare," she announced, though we all knew she lived 15 minutes away in a trendy downtown loft. Heads turned, conversations stalled, and Noah's drone demo was forgotten as Vanessa strutted across the lawn, her high heels sinking into the grass. She hadn't helped with a single thing, no calls to confirm the caterer, no offer to pick up extra ice. She'd barely RSVP'd, texting Mom at 2 a.m. the night before with a vague, "I'll try to make it." Typical Vanessa. Yet, the moment she arrived, the energy shifted. She was a gravitational force, pulling every eye and ear toward her. Dad paused his grilling to give her a quick hug, and Mom rushed over with a plate of sliders, as if Vanessa's presence was the real event. As the afternoon wore on, Vanessa worked the crowd like a politician, flitting from group to group, laughing too loudly, and tossing out backhanded compliments. "Lauren, this setup is so quaint," she said, eyeing the dessert table. "Very Pinterest, but in a good way." I forced a smile, biting back a retort. She moved on to the food, picking at a burger and declaring, "A little dry, Dad. But I'm sure it's just the grill." Dad chuckled, but I saw the flicker of annoyance in his eyes. The real trouble started during the toasts. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Dad stood on the patio, glass raised, his voice warm with nostalgia. "To family," he said. "To coming together, no matter what life throws at us." It was a simple speech, heartfelt, and the crowd murmured in agreement. Then Vanessa clinked her wine glass, her smile sharp. "To family secrets," she said, her eyes locking onto mine. A few guests laughed, thinking it was a playful jab, but I felt a chill. Her tone wasn't joking, it was pointed, malicious. I tried to brush it off, focusing on Noah as he darted around, showing off his drone to a cluster of cousins. He was in his element, explaining how he'd coded the drone's flight path using a kid-friendly app. "It's like telling a story, but with math," he said, his face glowing. Even Dad, who rarely engaged with kids' chatter, leaned in, asking questions about battery life and aerodynamics. For a moment, I thought we'd dodged Vanessa's drama. Then came the fire pit moment. As we gathered around, marshmallows roasting and stars appearing overhead, Noah launched into a detailed explanation of his latest science fair project, a mini solar-powered car he'd built from scratch. "It went 10 feet in 3 seconds, he boasted, gesturing wildly. The adults smiled, charmed by his enthusiasm. Everyone was listening, everyone except Vanessa. She sat across from me, scrolling her phone, her expression bored. She sighed loudly, rolling her eyes, as if Noah's excitement was an inconvenience. Then, in a voice loud enough to cut through the crackling fire, she leaned toward her fiancé, Marcus, and said, "Isn't it funny how Noah looks more like that guy Lauren dated in college? What was his name? Ryan. Than Ethan." Just saying. The words landed like a grenade. The fire pit circle went silent. Ethan, sitting beside me, froze, his beer bottle halfway to his lips. Noah paused mid-sentence, confused, his eyes darting between us. "Mom, what's Aunt Vanessa talking about?" he asked, his voice small. My face burned. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Vanessa," I demanded, my voice sharper than I intended. She shrugged, her lips curling into a mock-innocent smile. "Just a joke. Lauren, chill." God, you're so sensitive. But the damage was done. Whispers rippled through the group. Ethan's jaw tightened, and he stared at the fire, avoiding my gaze. Mom tried to change the subject, asking about dessert. But the mood was shattered. Noah, sensing the tension, quietly packed up his drone and sat beside me. His earlier excitement gone, the rest of the night was a blur. Vanessa, unfazed, flitted around, laughing and posing for selfies, as if she hadn't just lobbed a wrecking ball into my marriage. Ethan barely spoke, his silence heavier than any argument. As we packed up to leave, Noah tugged my hand. "Is Daddy mad at me?" he asked. My heart broke. "No, sweetie," I lied. "He's just tired." But I knew the truth. Vanessa's joke had planted a seed of doubt, and it was already taking root. The drive home from the barbecue was suffocating. Ethan stared out the passenger window, his silence a wall between us. Noah and Sophie slept in the back seat, their soft breaths the only sound in the car. I gripped the steering wheel, my mind replaying Vanessa's words. "Noah looks more like Ryan than Ethan." It wasn't just the accusation, it was the way she'd said it, loud and deliberate, ensuring everyone heard. She'd humiliated me in front of our family, and worse, she'd hurt Ethan. At home, after tucking the kids into bed, I couldn't hold it in any longer. "Ethan, you don't actually believe her, do you?" I asked. Standing in our dimly lit kitchen, he was pouring a glass of water, his movements slow, deliberate. He didn't answer right away, and that pause felt like a knife. "I trust you, Lauren," he said finally, but his voice lacked conviction. "But why would she say that?" "It's messing with my head." "Messing with your head?" I snapped, my voice rising. "You think I'd lie about Noah? About our son?" Ethan set the glass down, rubbing his temples. "I don't know what to think. Vanessa's always been sneaky. What if there's something to it?" His words hit like a slap. Ryan was my college boyfriend. A brief fling from 15 years ago. Ethan knew about him, it wasn't a secret. But for Vanessa to drag his name into our lives, to imply Noah wasn't Ethan's, was calculated cruelty. "Are you serious?" I said, tears stinging my eyes. "You're letting her poison our marriage over a stupid joke. You're supposed to trust me, not her." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "I do trust you, but maybe a paternity test would just clear things up. Put it to rest." My stomach dropped. The man I'd loved for over a decade, the father of my children, was asking me to prove our son's paternity because of my sister's spiteful comment. "You want a test?" I said, my voice trembling. "You want me to prove Noah's your son like I'm some liar?" He didn't meet my eyes. "It's not about that. It's about shutting her up, proving she's wrong." But it wasn't about Vanessa anymore, it was about us. His doubt was a betrayal, and it cut deeper than I could express. We went to bed without resolving anything. The space between us in our king-sized bed feeling like an ocean. The next few days were a nightmare. Ethan was physically present, helping with breakfast, driving Noah to soccer practice, but emotionally, he was gone. His usual warmth, the easy banter we'd always shared, was replaced by a guarded silence. I caught him watching Noah more than usual, his eyes searching our son's face for what? Proof. Resemblance. It was maddening. One evening, I found him on his laptop, the screen open to a website about at-home paternity tests. "Really? Ethan," I said, my voice shaking. He closed the laptop quickly, mumbling, "Just looking." Noah, perceptive beyond his years, started picking up on the tension. "Why's Daddy so quiet?" he asked one morning, his cereal untouched. "Is he mad at me?" My heart ached. "No, buddy," I said, forcing a smile. "He's just got a lot on his mind." But the truth was, Ethan's doubt was seeping into our home, tainting everything. Sophie, too young to understand, clung to me more, as if sensing the shift in our family's rhythm. I couldn't let it go. I called Vanessa, my anger boiling over. Why would you say that about Noah? I demanded. You know it's not true. You humiliated me in front of everyone. She laughed, her voice dripping with condescension. God, Lauren, it was a joke. If you're so sure he's Ethan's, why are you freaking out? You're, like, obsessed with me. Her nonchalance was infuriating. You owe us an apology, I said. You hurt my family, she scoffed. You're too sensitive. Get over it. Maybe check your own secrets before you come for me. She hung up, leaving me seething. Mom called the next day, trying to play peacemaker. Vanessa didn't mean any harm, she said, her voice gentle. She's just dramatic. You know how she is? I wasn't buying it. Dramatic? Mom, she implied Noah isn't Ethan's son in front of 50 people. That's not drama, that's cruelty. Mom sighed. She was probably just feeling left out. Noah was getting all the attention with his drone. I almost laughed. Left out. She's a grown woman, not a toddler. She knew exactly what she was doing. Mom didn't push further, but her reluctance to hold Vanessa accountable stung. It was always like this, Vanessa's messes swept under the rug. While the rest of us dealt with the fallout, the tension with Ethan grew unbearable. Small disagreements over what to cook for dinner. Whether Noah could have extra screen time escalated, fueled by the unspoken doubt hanging over us. One night, as we cleaned the kitchen, I tried again. We need to talk about this, I said, scrubbing a pan with more force than necessary. You've been acting like a stranger since the barbecue, Ethan sighed, tossing a dish towel onto the counter. I told you, I trust you, but I can't just unhear what she said. It's not that simple, not that simple, I said, my voice rising. What's not simple is that you're letting my sister ruin our marriage. You're looking at Noah like he's a puzzle to solve. Ethan's eyes flashed with frustration. What do you want me to do? Lauren, pretend it didn't happen. Vanessa's always been manipulative. What if she knows something? That was the final straw. Knows something? I shouted. She doesn't know anything. She's just stirring up drama because that's what she does. Ethan didn't respond, and his silence was louder than any argument. I stormed out of the kitchen, my heart pounding. By the end of the week, I was at my breaking point. Our marriage, once a safe haven, felt like a house of cards. Vanessa's words had exposed a crack in our foundation, and I didn't know how to fix it. All I knew was that her joke had changed everything, and I wasn't sure we'd ever be the same. The days following the barbecue were a slow-motion disaster. Ethan's doubt wasn't loud or confrontational, it was quiet, insidious, seeping into every corner of our lives. He'd go through the motions making Noah's lunches, reading Sophie bedtime stories, but his eyes were distant, his smiles forced. I'd catch him staring at Noah, as if searching for traces of Ryan in our son's freckled face or curly brown hair. It was torture. Our marriage, once a partnership of laughter and trust, felt like a battlefield, and I was fighting an enemy I couldn't see. I tried to keep things normal for the kids. Noah had soccer practice, and Sophie had her toddler music class, but the tension at home was palpable. One evening, as I helped Noah with his math homework, he looked up, his brow furrowed. Mom, is Daddy mad at you? He asked. I froze, my pen hovering over his worksheet. Why do you think that, buddy? I said, keeping my voice light. He's not talking a lot, Noah said. And he looks sad? I hugged him, my throat tight. He's just tired from work. I lied. Everything's fine. But it wasn't. Noah deserved a happy home. Not this shadow of suspicion cast by Vanessa's cruelty. The breaking point came one Friday night. After a week of strained silences and half-hearted apologies, it started with something trivial. Ethan wanted pizza for dinner. I wanted to cook. But the argument spiraled, as they always did now. Why can't you just let this go? I said, slamming a cutting board onto the counter. Vanessa's comment was a lie. And you're letting it ruin us. Ethan's face hardened. I'm not trying to ruin anything, Lauren. But I can't stop thinking about it. If it's such a lie, why not take a paternity test? It's one simple step to shut her up. Simple? I shouted, my voice echoing in the kitchen. You're asking me to prove Noah's your son like I'm some criminal. Do you know how humiliating that is? How insulting. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, his frustration boiling over. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm saying I need to know for sure. Vanessa's sneaky. She's always been sneaky. What if she's hinting at something real? I stared at him, my heart sinking. You don't trust me, I said quietly. After 12 years, you don't trust me? He didn't answer. And that silence was worse than any accusation. I walked away, locking myself in the bathroom, tears streaming down my face. How had we gotten here? Ethan and I had weathered job losses, miscarriages, sleepless nights with newborns. We were a team. But Vanessa's words had exposed a vulnerability I hadn't known existed. And now our marriage was crumbling. The next morning, I made a decision, not for Ethan, but for Noah and Sophie. I couldn't let this tension fester, poisoning our home. If a paternity test would end this nightmare, I'd do it. But it wasn't about proving anything to Ethan. It was about protecting our kids. When I told Ethan, he looked relieved, which hurt more than his doubt. I think it's for the best, he said, his voice soft. For the best? I repeated, my tone icy. Sure, Ethan, whatever you say. He didn't apologize, didn't backtrack. He just nodded, as if this was a business transaction. The test was clinical, almost surreal. We took Noah to a local clinic, where a nurse swabbed his cheek, then Ethan's, then mine. Noah, oblivious to the stakes, giggled, thinking it was a science experiment. Is this like my DNA project at school? He asked, his eyes bright. I forced a smile, my stomach churning. Something like that, I said. Ethan sat in the waiting room, scrolling his phone, avoiding my gaze. I wanted to scream, to shake him, to demand why he'd let Vanessa's lie tear us apart. But I stayed silent, for Noah's sake. The wait for results was excruciating. 3 days felt like 3 years. Every time I looked at Ethan, I saw a stranger. We moved through our routines: work, school drop-offs, bedtime stories, but the air was thick with unspoken words. Noah's questions grew more frequent. Why's Daddy not smiling? He asked one night, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. I hugged him tightly. He's just thinking a lot, I said, hating how flimsy my excuses sounded. When the results arrived, I opened the envelope alone in our bedroom, my hands trembling. The paper was stark, clinical. 99% probability of paternity. Noah was Ethan's son, just as I'd always known. I felt no relief, only anger. I slid the paper across the kitchen table to Ethan, who was sipping coffee. He read it, his face crumpling with guilt. Lauren, I'm so sorry, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I let her get in my head. I shouldn't have doubted you. Sorry, I said, my voice cold. You put us through hell, Ethan. You looked at our son like he was a question mark. Sorry doesn't fix that. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I know I messed up, he said. I'll do whatever it takes to make this right. But I wasn't ready to forgive. The test had cleared Noah's paternity, but it hadn't erased the wound in our marriage. We were broken, and I didn't know if we could be fixed. Over the next week, Ethan tried to make amends. He cooked my favorite meals, left apology notes on my pillow, even suggested couples therapy. I appreciated the effort, but every gesture felt like a bandage on a gaping wound. Mom called, having heard about the test through the family grapevine. At least now Ethan knows the truth, she said, her tone sympathetic. The truth, I snapped. The truth was never in question. Mom, I shouldn't have had to prove anything. She backpedaled, but her words echoed Ethan's. Everyone seemed to think the test was a solution, not a symptom of a deeper problem. Vanessa, predictably, hadn't reached out. No apology, no explanation. She'd dropped her bomb and moved on, leaving me to pick up the pieces. But I wasn't done with her. She'd nearly destroyed my family, and I wasn't going to let her walk away unscathed. Vanessa's silence after the barbecue was deafening. No call, no text, not even a vague Instagram story hinting at remorse. She'd nearly shattered my marriage with her cruel joke and walked away as if nothing had happened. Her indifference fueled my anger, but it also sparked something else. Determination. If Vanessa thought she could humiliate me and skate free, she was wrong. I decided to dig into her life, to find something, anything that would expose her for the manipulator she was. Vanessa lived for social media. Her TikTok and Instagram were a curated fantasy glamorous vacations, designer outfits, and gushing posts about her fiancé, Marcus, a quiet software engineer who seemed perpetually out of place in her spotlight. She had 50,000 followers, a mix of local fans and strangers drawn to her polished persona. But as I scrolled through her feeds, something felt off. Marcus rarely appeared in her posts, and when he did, his smile was strained, his body language distant. His own accounts were sparse. With no recent mentions of Vanessa, it was as if they were living parallel lives. I started with TikTok, where Vanessa was most active, posting daily videos of her morning routines, outfit hauls, and relationship advice laced with coy winks. One user, Traveling Tyler, caught my eye. His comments on her videos were flirty, looking like a dream. And she responded with heart emojis and playful banter. It could have been harmless influencer shtick, but my gut told me otherwise. I created a burner TikTok account, posing as a generic lifestyle fan, and followed both Vanessa and Tyler. His profile was a mix of travel vlogs and gym selfies, with a bio that read, "Living life untethered." He and Vanessa had been interacting for months, their exchanges growing bolder over time. Digging deeper, I found a private Discord server Vanessa was part of, linked in a cryptic TikTok comment she'd made. "For my real fans, join the convo." The server, called Vibe Vault, required an invite code, which I got by posing as a fan in her DMs. Inside, I found a community of 200 members, mostly women, discussing discreet relationships. Vanessa was a moderator, her username VixenV. Her posts were chilling. Use burner phones for meetups. Never use your real name on apps. Trust me, it works. She shared tips on dodging suspicion, like scheduling girls' nights as cover for affairs. It was sickening. Vanessa, who'd accused me of infidelity, was coaching others on how to cheat. The real bombshell came when I discovered her Patreon account. Also under VixenV, it wasn't just exclusive photos or behind-the-scenes content, it was explicit, with tiers offering private videos and custom chats for high-paying subscribers. Tyler was her top patron, dropping hundreds monthly. I created a low-tier account to access her public posts, and what I saw confirmed my worst suspicions. Vanessa wasn't just flirting with Tyler, she was in deep, private messages, which I glimpsed through a hacked server leak shared in the Discord, revealed an affair spanning 8 months. They'd met through Patreon, bonding over her content, and it had escalated to in-person meetups at hotels when Marcus was away for work conferences. One message from Tyler stopped me cold. "Can't wait to see you with our little secret. Hope they've got your eyes." My blood ran cold. Vanessa had announced her pregnancy on TikTok 3 months ago, posting a tearful video with an ultrasound photo and the caption, "Our miracle is coming." The timing was suspicious. She and Marcus had struggled with infertility for years, a fact she'd often lamented at family dinners. Now, suddenly, she was pregnant, and Tyler's message suggested the baby might not be Marcus's. I needed more proof. Using my burner account, I joined the Discord's private channels, posing as a curious newcomer seeking affair advice. Vanessa was eager to help, DMing me tips on keeping things spicy without getting caught. Through these chats, I learned she'd been seeing Tyler in person since last fall, sneaking away during Marcus's frequent business trips. She bragged about their chemistry, calling Tyler her escape from the mundane. When I asked about her pregnancy, she was coy. "Let's just say it's a happy surprise." But Tyler's messages were less guarded. In a group chat, he wrote, "V and I are planning a future. Our kid's gonna be a star." The implication was clear. Vanessa was passing off Tyler's child as Marcus's. I saved everything screenshots, message logs, even a few of Vanessa's Patreon videos, which I accessed through a temporary glitch in her paywall. It was a goldmine of evidence, but also a moral minefield. Exposing Vanessa would devastate Marcus and our family. Part of me wanted to confront her privately, to demand she come clean, but after what she'd done to me, to Noah, to Ethan, I wanted her to feel the same public humiliation she'd inflicted. I just needed the right moment. When Mom announced she was throwing Vanessa a baby shower, I nearly choked on my coffee. "A party? For her," I said, my voice dripping with disbelief. "After everything she's done, Mom." "Ever the diplomat?" sighed Lauren. "She's family. We threw a shower for you when you were pregnant with Noah. It's only fair." Fair. The word felt like a slap. Vanessa had humiliated me, nearly destroyed my marriage. And now she was being celebrated. But Mom was resolute. "She's going to be a mother," she said. "Maybe this will ground her. Help her grow up." I wanted to scream the truth. Vanessa wasn't growing up. She was living a double life. Lying to Marcus. To everyone. But I held back. I wasn't ready to show my cards. Instead, I saw the shower as an opportunity. Vanessa had exposed my family's vulnerabilities in public. I'd do the same to her. "Fine," I told Mom. "I'll come. But don't expect me to play nice if she starts her nonsense." Mom's silence on the phone told me she knew this wouldn't be easy. The shower was set for a Saturday at Mom and Dad's house, transformed into a pastel wonderland. Floral arches framed the backyard. A dessert bar overflowed with cupcakes and macarons, and a giant "Oh baby" sign hung above a gift table. Vanessa had been milking the event on social media, posting daily TikToks about her perfect pregnancy and dream shower. "So blessed to have the best family." She captioned one video, her smile radiant. It made my stomach turn. On the day of the shower, I dressed carefully, simple jeans and a blouse. Nothing to draw attention. Ethan, still navigating our fragile truce, agreed to come for Mom's sake. "Let's just get through this," he said, squeezing my hand. Noah and Sophie stayed with a sitter. I didn't want them caught in the crossfire. As we arrived, Vanessa was in full princess mode, floating around in a flowing lavender gown, her baby bump prominently displayed. She greeted guests with hugs and air kisses, her laughter echoing. Marcus was there, too, in a pressed polo, smiling but distant. I wondered if he sensed something was off, or if Vanessa had him completely fooled. The party was a spectacle-catered hors d'oeuvres, a mocktail bar, even a live acoustic guitarist. Vanessa soaked up the attention, gushing over baby names Luna or Liam. She couldn't decide, and nursery decor boho chic. Naturally, guests showered her with gifts, designer diaper bags, organic cotton onesies, and she opened each with theatrical delight. I stayed on the sidelines, watching, waiting. Ethan, sensing my tension, whispered, "You sure about this?" I nodded. She deserves it. The moment came during the toasts. Mom had just finished a teary speech about the joy of grandchildren when I stood, glass in hand. "To Vanessa," I said, my voice steady but loud enough to carry, "and to Tyler, who's been such a big part of her journey." The backyard went silent. Vanessa's smile froze, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" she hissed, her voice tight. I stepped forward, pulling out my phone. "You know exactly what I mean," I said. "Tyler. The guy you've been messaging on Discord. The guy paying for your Patreon content. The guy who might be the father of your baby." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Vanessa's face paled, her hands clutching her glass. "You're insane," she snapped. "You're making this up." "Am I?" I said, holding up my phone. I'd prepared a slideshow of screenshots, Vanessa's Discord posts, her Patreon profile, flirty messages with Tyler. I handed the phone to Marcus, who stood frozen beside her. "Take a look," I said. He hesitated, then took it, his fingers trembling. As he scrolled, his expression shifted from confusion to shock to rage. "Vanessa," he said, his voice low. "What the hell is this?" she stammered, her composure cracking. It's not what it looks like. Lauren's lying. She's jealous." But Marcus wasn't listening. He zoomed in on a message from Tyler. "Our baby's gonna be perfect." His face reddened. "Is this true?" he demanded. "Is the baby even mine?" Vanessa's eyes darted around, searching for an ally. But the guests were silent, their faces a mix of horror and fascination. "Of course it's yours," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. I'd never. Marcus cut her off. "Then take a paternity test. Prove it." The words hung in the air, a mirror of the demand Ethan had made of me. Vanessa's mouth opened, then closed, like a fish gasping for air. She looked to Mom, who stood in the corner, her hand over her mouth, eyes wide with disbelief. No one came to her rescue. "I don't need to prove anything," Vanessa said finally, her voice shaking. Marcus let out a bitter laugh. "That's what I thought." He tossed my phone onto the gift table and stormed out, the back door slamming behind him. Vanessa collapsed into a chair, sobbing, her perfect facade shattered. The party dissolved into awkward murmurs as guests shuffled away, avoiding eye contact. I expected Mom to scold me, to say I'd gone too far. But she didn't. She just stared at Vanessa, her expression a mix of disappointment and grief. Ethan took my arm. "We should go," he said quietly. I nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and exhaustion. As we drove home, I realized I'd done what I set out to do. Vanessa had tasted her own medicine, and her lies were exposed for all to see. The aftermath of the baby shower was seismic. Marcus didn't return to their loft that night, crashing instead at a friend's place. When Mom called him, hoping to mediate, he was resolute. "I'm not stepping foot in that house until she takes a paternity test." Vanessa, true to form, dug in her heels. "How dare he doubt me?" she sobbed to Mom, loud enough for the whole house to hear. But her refusal only deepened Marcus's suspicions. He'd seen the screenshots, read Tyler's messages. He wasn't naive, and neither was anyone else. The family group chat, usually filled with recipes and birthday plans, became a battleground. Cousins and aunts whispered about Vanessa's Patreon, which someone, likely a nosy guest from the shower, had discovered and shared. Screenshots of her Vixen V profile circulated, her face unmistakable despite the pseudonym. Vanessa tried to deny it, claiming it was a deepfake or a smear campaign. "Someone's out to ruin me," she posted on Instagram. But the evidence was damning, and her followers began to dwindle. My parents were heartbroken. They'd always seen Vanessa as their free-spirited daughter, flawed but redeemable. This was different. Dad, who rarely waded into drama, sat her down one evening. "Vanessa, if you don't take the test, you're going to lose Marcus," he said, his voice heavy. "Is that what you want?" Her response shocked him. "Maybe I don't want him anymore." Dad was speechless, and Mom, listening from the kitchen, started to cry. Vanessa's defiance was unraveling everything. When Vanessa gave birth to a boy 3 months later, the truth became undeniable. Mom called me the morning it happened. Her voice shaky. "The baby's here," she said. "He's healthy, but he doesn't look like Marcus. Not even a little." I wasn't surprised. Tyler's messages had prepared me for this. "What's Vanessa saying?" I asked. Mom sighed. "She's refusing to admit anything. Marcus won't even visit the hospital." Marcus followed through on his threat, filing for divorce a week after the birth. Vanessa, predictably, blamed me. "This is all your fault," she screamed over the phone one night, her voice raw. "If you hadn't meddled, I'd still have my life." I didn't flinch. "None of this would have happened if you hadn't lied," I said. "Maybe try taking responsibility for once." She hung up, but not before unleashing a tirade of insults, calling me a jealous, vindictive sister who'd always hated her success. Vanessa's smear campaign didn't stop there. She told anyone who'd listen, family, mutual friends, even her dwindling TikTok audience, that I'd fabricated the evidence out of spite. She even tried to drag Ethan into it, claiming he'd always had a crush on her, and that's why I was so eager to take her down. It was laughable. Ethan couldn't stand Vanessa, and everyone knew it. Her lies only made her look more desperate, and her once loyal followers began unfollowing in droves. The final nail came when Mom overheard Vanessa on a call with Tyler. She'd gone to Vanessa's loft to help with the baby, unable to abandon her daughter completely. While Vanessa was in the nursery, Mom heard her on speakerphone in the next room. "He's beautiful, isn't he?" Vanessa said, her voice soft. "I hope he looks more like me than you, though. I don't want anyone getting suspicious." Mom's hands shook as she confronted her. "Vanessa, is Tyler the father?" she asked. Vanessa denied it at first, but under Mom's relentless questioning, she broke. "Fine. Yes. Okay. Tyler's the father. Are you happy now?" Happy wasn't the word. Mom was devastated. Her faith in Vanessa shattered. She called me that night, her voice thick with tears. "She's ruined everything," she said. "Her marriage, her reputation, our family. I don't know how to fix this." I was gentle but firm. "She's not your responsibility. Mom, let her face the consequences." And that's what happened. Marcus finalized the divorce within months, cutting all ties. Tyler, predictably, ghosted Vanessa, uninterested in fatherhood or her drama. My parents, after months of soul-searching, stepped back, offering minimal financial help but no more emotional labor. As for me, I've moved on, though not without scars. Ethan and I are in couples therapy, working to rebuild the trust Vanessa exploited. It's slow, painful work, but we're committed for each other. For Noah and Sophie, our home is quieter now, the tension easing, though I still catch myself watching Ethan for signs of doubt. We're healing, but we're not whole. Vanessa, meanwhile, is a cautionary tale. Her social media is silent, her loft sold to cover legal fees. She's alone, raising a child in a small apartment, with no one left to manipulate or charm. She spent her life tearing others down, but in the end, she destroyed herself. And while I don't wish her pain, I can't say I'm sorry. She made her choices, and now she's living with them.